Hello, Lunch and Learn family. We are glad to be back with you, and I'm really excited to have my friend and colleague, Loanne. Many of you out there know her from her work across the country. She's a lot of fun to be with and full of great ideas. And a few weeks ago, we were talking, just like everyone else, we've been working from home, working face-to-face with teachers, missing students. And talking about different things we're doing, and she brought up this idea of BookSnaps. And like many of you, I thought, what's a BookSnap? I've never heard of that. And I asked, and she talked me through it, made an example and shared, and that now has turned into a Lunch and Learn that we can share with you. So with that, Loanne, tell us a little bit about BookSnaps.
Thank you, Isaac. That was such a nice introduction. Welcome. Before we jump in, I just wanted to take a moment for gratitude. I'm so happy that you are able to join Isaac and I today, and I'm just grateful that you were able to take just a few minutes out of your day to be here with us and learn together. So thank you so much for being here. So let's get started. So why BookSnaps? So let's just talk about reading in general. As adults, we love reading. There are times, you know, it can be more of a job-related task, but for the most part, many times we enjoy reading. Similarly with our students, they may enjoy reading just for that journey of, you know, delving into a story, taking a journey with some characters, or just acquiring new learning, whether they're reading a new story, or it's about a science topic, or maybe it's math or social science, whatever that may be. But to be quite honest, sometimes, you know, when we work with kids, reading can be quite maybe boring at times, or, oh boy, here's another task that I have to do, and it's a pencil paper, I've got to write something for my teacher. So with that in mind, I thought, you know, there's this idea or strategy around reading where we can make it just a little bit more interesting for our kids. So when we think about this remote setting that we are in now, we have all been working extremely hard and so intentional to really stay connected with our kids and be able to continue to inspire them to continue to read and love reading and love learning, and do it in a really meaningful way and creative as well. Now, we know our kids love technology. I love technology. I know Isaac loves technology. So we know that kids, you know, like to express themselves using technology. And some of the ways to do that is obviously like when they text message, or, you know, use apps to, with emojis, with images, with text, whatever the case may be. But bottom line is kids love to use technology. We all know that, and it's a great way to express themselves. So with that said, what are BookSnaps? So let's talk about this idea of how do we continue to engage kids and get them to have this, you know, spirit and this bright heart when they come to reading something. And so we want to encourage reading, and we want to continue to engage them. And a really fun way and creative way to do this is BookSnaps. Now, for some of you, this is a quick introduction of, you know, what BookSnaps are. And for some of you, it's going to be, oh, hey, Loanne, I've done BookSnaps. This is in my, you know, belt, my tools that I use. And so hopefully it's just a refresher, or if you're doing something really cool with BookSnaps, be sure to share it with us as well. But coming back to the strategy itself, is this is a way to create a digital visual representation of whatever text kids are reading. And it gives them the opportunity to use annotation and just a very succinct and quick way to be able to document and highlight some key takeaways. So one of the things we know that is that when we use visual representation, we know the brain research says that visual representation really helps the learner to solidify the content, solidify the text that they're reading. And it also helps them with recalling ideas. So let's look at, when we think about reading, what are some ways in which we can use BookSnaps to do that? So when we're thinking about, you could see some examples here pointing out the main idea in a nonfiction text. Perhaps maybe they're reading a graphic novel or poetry or whatever it might be, and we want them to really demonstrate their knowledge around figurative language, so we can have them highlight that along with imagery or maybe symbolism. We can also have them analyze characters and think about notating character conflict or internal struggles, or perhaps relationships amongst characters. Another thought is we can have them think about perspective or pointing out a supporting argument. When reading literature, we can think about, you know, what was the lesson, the moral, the theme of the story. And then one of my favorites is always having kids make connections, right? So connections to text, connections to self, connections to world. So this is not the end all be all of ideas, but just to kind of get us started with thinking about what are some ways in which we can engage kids in reading. So how do we do this? I know we have all had our share of really deep dives or steep learning curves in these last couple of months, transitioning to a virtual platform. This whole remote learning, and some of us I know are just experts around Google Slides, using Google Drawing or Flipgrid. One of our discoveries that we've been using at our company, Pear Deck, is really awesome in engaging kids and using it for that really rich interaction with kids. So there are other drawing apps, you know, technology out there that you could use. So just kind of think about what do you know, and what is it that maybe you'd like to explore and learn and challenge yourself to be able to practice this strategy and try it with your kids. The link that you see on the video here, it leads you to Tara Martin. She's got a great website. She's kind of like the guru of all of this. And she has all kinds of videos, little mini tutorials. So I would encourage you to go there and take a look at the examples and take a look at some of the videos that she has to help you kind of step by step to go through this. So let's take a look at some examples. The examples that I'm going to be showing you today are specific to the reading snaps that I'm going to share. But of course, know that this strategy, again, we can be thinking about, you know, what are some ways we can do math snaps, science snaps, social science snaps. So whatever your content is, you know, get creative. So let's take a look. I was browsing on some websites and saw, you know, just these two really cute examples. This would be more elementary. So you'll see here there's an example of a student whom did a little book snap on sharks, you know, a nonfiction text, and did a little reader response to that. And then you see there's one on theme. And of course, you'll notice here the kids used emojis. They captured an excerpt of the text, and they also included a little caption with their response to whatever the purpose or goal of the reading was. So I'm going to share with you two examples that I did based on these two books. So these are two of my favorites. Because of Winn-Dixie, this was just a favorite for me from when I was a kid. And that is a story about a little 10-year-old girl named Opal, whom one summer she ends up adopting this large scruffy dog and names it Winn-Dixie. And during this first summer, she conquers her loneliness in a new town, and she learns lessons of life and love. So it's just a very sweet story. And then the other one is called Exclamation Mark. And this one is about self-discovery, and it's about learning about what's unique about you. So it really encourages kids to think about their own character, and it's a great way to do some character building with kids. So let's take a look at the example. First here, I have Winn-Dixie, and I'm really proud that I was taking a risk. I had never used Google Drawing before. Google Slides, yes, but what is this thing called Google Drawing? So then I thought, I'm going to grab my copy because of Winn-Dixie, and I said, if I were to engage my students and needed to create an example of what a BookSnap might look like to encourage them to read and express themselves and make connections to a text, how might I do this? So I thought, okay, I'm going to try this doing Google Drawing. It's actually very user-friendly and easy to do. So I just kind of started out with a black background, changed it to black. I took a picture of the page that actually had the example, the excerpt from the text that I wanted to use. And you'll see the caption at the very top where it says, Winn-Dixie makes a difference in the lives of characters in the story. Everyone Winn-Dixie meets, he changes their life. So that sets the purpose for their reading, the goal. And then the task would be, when you read, look for the example within the text that you can draw evidence from and create that reader response. So you'll see that I added an image that was the cover of the books, because we want kids to make sure that they capture, whether it's the picture of the actual cover or the name or the author of the book. And then the JPEG that you see there with the hands up with the heart represents all the characters that Winn-Dixie meets. And the heart represents, the positive changes that he makes in their lives. And then that little emoji is me going, thumbs up, yay. Like, I really love how Winn-Dixie comforts Miss Franny Block when he would sit next to her and lick her hand. It's amazing how he knows what to do to help her. And so that was a connection and my response to the goal of, how did he change their lives? So it's a really fun way for kids to add in images. And clearly I had some fun doing it, and I learned how to use Google Drawing. So that's one example. And the next one is the one about character building and self-discovery. So I just want to introduce to you this little cutie pie. This is my great nephew, Carson. And what I did with him was so again, virtual learning, right? I did an interactive kind of read aloud with him online. We read it and we talked about it, and we said, I asked him, Carson, what is unique about you? And so of course he is a talker, and he is just a sweetie pie. And he shared everything that he felt was either his favorite or things that he liked to do that made him Carson. So as you could see, he loves spaghetti. He likes to read, and he says, but I like it when mommy reads stories to me too. So very cute. And of course, video games, and he loves sports, particularly he plays t-ball, and then he loves to watch the Kings play with his dad. So super cute. So this is something that's interactive. Then, his mom helped with pictures, and then they shared it with me. But of course, if kids don't have the technology, they could still take a little picture, or if you do this live with them, they can share and just talk to you and just share it. So it's really cool. And they can even perhaps record it. So it just really is a nice way to help kids to have that opportunity to be a bit more creative and see their personal, kind of their personal side, their connections to stories. So I just had so much fun doing that with him. So I just wanted to share those two examples so that you could see how this can work. So here's where we kind of get to that part where, well, how do we do this in terms of how do kids know that they're going to be successful with this? So I just created a little checklist of success criteria, because we always want to make sure that when kids are expected to demonstrate their learning through a specific task to show what skills or concepts they're learning, is that we want to be able to have clear criteria for them to be able to show their work along the way and to demonstrate their understanding. So this becomes a great tool as we use an exemplar with it to show our kids what success looks like. But then along the way, as they have healthy doses of repetition and practice, they could begin to self-assess or do some peer assessment or feedback. So really just making it fun for them to be able to share their work while at the same time practicing, interpreting text, analyzing text, and doing reading in a fun way. So I hope you get started and have some fun with it, and share with us if it's working well. Thank you all for joining me today, and I hope that you'll have, just lots of great responses from your kids. So enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Loanne. And I'm so glad that that little remark weeks ago led to this. And of course, we'll have a link to the success criteria in the description for the video. And then you'll see on this next slide that you can visit www.thecorecontributes.com. And there you can get a reflection journal to reflect on this learning and any other learning you do with us. You can use that journal for just your personal use as a record of your learning, and also though to get CTLE credit or earn college credit. And at the Core Contributes, you'll find how to check out a lot more of these lunch and learns, our master classes, our Core Communicate blog, podcast, and anything else I'm accidentally leaving off. And as always, we are the Core Collaborative. And so our strength lies in the strength of the Learning Network. So we hope you'll take a quick screenshot and make sure to join us on Facebook, Twitter, etc., and join these wonderful groups of educators on Facebook who are working hard together to make education work for kids. So thank you all for your time and attention, and thank you again so much, Loanne. We'll see you all next time.